Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I am so excited to share this pop-up Ahoy Matey card with you, showcasing the brand new Lawn Fawn Ahoy Matey stamp set and coordinating dies. Plus, I am going to be using a few other brand new dies with this. So many fun, great new products coming. I am just super duper excited about all of these. I am going to start by laying out everything. I know I've had a lot of people ask about my process, and I'm working on a process video, but I'm showing you right here just laying out my supplies. I like starting out with a die of some sort or a guideline so I know what kind of surface area I have to work with. Then I lay out my borders, my stamps, my dies, all of those things so that I know kind of what's going to work, what isn't. I can play within those parameters so that I know exactly what I want to do. Now for this, I am using the new outside in stitched rectangles, and I've die cut 3 of these rectangles using the largest of those rectangle dies. One of them is going to be my background. From one of them, I've got 2 of my sandy beach borders, and this is using one of my all-time favorite, the stitched hillside borders. So those were die cut from one of those inside or the outside in stitched rectangles. From the other one, I'm going to be die cutting ocean wave borders. I need a couple of these as well. I went ahead and die cut everything from Bristol Smooth cardstock so that I can add my own color to it. You could also choose to die cut these pieces all from colored cardstock, and you'll save yourself quite a bit of time. Go ahead and get one more border. I also have some palm trees here, and this is from the new Palm Trees die collection. So super cute and fun, great for all those beachy, summery themed type of scenes. Just super fantastic. Now before I start working on any of these stamped images for this scene card, I'm going to go ahead and build my background. And to do that, I need to do a little distressed or emboss resist inking over a greeting on the front. The greeting is going to go not only on the front of the card, but will move and transition to the inside of the card where there's a lot going on as well. You might have noticed this is kind of a long video. When you're building a big scene card or a pop-up card like this, where it's not only a full scene on the front, but it transitions to the inside of the card, it generally takes a little bit more work. And I wanted to keep all of those steps in it for you. I've stamped the Ahoy Matey with the exclamation point along the sandy beach border that will be on the forefront of the card. I'm stamping that with Versamark ink, heat embossing with white embossing powder, and then I will start doing the embossed resist and inking up all of the layers. Again, if you would stamp or rather die cut these from colored cardstock instead, you're going to save yourself quite a bit of time when you're designing and building this card. Go ahead and grab my heat tool, melt that embossing powder. For the sand beach, I am using antique linen with a tiny bit of gathered twigs along the edge. I'm going to speed through this quite a bit. It's a lot of inking. I'm using a scrap piece of paper to keep my fingers out of that ink because it does remain fairly wet on the Bristol Smooth cardstock. But the ink blends are just gorgeous and beautiful on this cardstock. I really love it and highly recommend it. Again, antique linen for the second sandy beach layer, and then gathered twigs. I went ahead and darkened that top layer just a little bit. I'll darken my second layer a little bit as well. And there are my 2 layers for the front of the card. While I have my brown inks out, I'm going to go ahead and ink up the trunks of the palm trees. Again, some gathered twigs is going to be my base color. And then I will take a little ground espresso to darken them up a tiny little bit. I'm trying to be really careful with these, trying to keep my fingers out of them. What you're going to want to do if you don't want to get your fingers in them and you want to handle them immediately, you're going to want to heat them with a heat tool and heat set that ink. which I really probably should have done as I was going along. I spritzed some water across the sand borders as well because I wanted them to have a little bit of that distressed look. It helps with the look of sand, I think. Now, I was trying to use a scrap piece of paper to hold these in place and not burn my fingers, and that wasn't working. I got smart later, but I didn't show it in the video, and what I actually did was take a little teeny piece of, or a pair of pliers rather, that I have in my scrap or my stamping room, craft room, and held the piece and heated it with my heat tool, and that worked so much better. So be smart. Don't be like me where you're messing around and burning your fingers. The tops of the palm trees were shabby shutters and mowed lawn. The water for both of my borders is some salty ocean. I don't have to go all the way down to the bottom because a lot of this isn't going to be seen. I just need the parts that will show to show up there. So there's the bottom part of my scene. For my background, I'm going to build that with a little tumbled glass. Again, this doesn't have to go all the way down to the bottom of this panel because a lot of it's going to be covered up with those great borders. Again, spritzing with water, blotting it dry with a paper towel, just gives it a little more interest. I always love to do this. I guess I would say I do it 90% of the time. I did go ahead and stamp these images and kind of cut that part out of the video to save some time, but all of these cute little images are from the new Ahoy Matey stamp set. They are so super fun. Pirate themed cards are just going to be fantastic with this stamp set. I've got the pirate ship, the boy, the girl, the treasure chest, some gold coins, a map, and a parrot to start out my scene. I have listed the colors of Copic markers I'm using across the bottom of the screen for each little area here. I know a lot of you enjoy watching the coloring process or knowing what's going on. Now, I know that little part that I colored on the boy's face could be his skin and probably was meant to be his skin, but I thought it would be almost fun to make it like he has a bandana on, covering up a little bit or something like that. So that's why I colored it that way. I wasn't really thinking. I'm going to be honest there. So it probably is skin. You can do whatever you want to do. The gold coins are YR23 and YR24. I like these colors, and a little wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker is going to make those shimmery, shiny, and definitely look like money or some gold coins. I did choose to color in the boy and girl's hair with the same colors or of Copic markers for both boy and girl, just to keep it easy. I have quite a few markers going in the supply list for this. Sometimes I find when I'm coloring an image like this, I'm reluctant to pull out a bunch more colors. I don't know why. And so I try to use what I already have out if it will work. I did make his pants blue. There's not a whole lot of other blue going on, but I really felt like I needed to pull in something a little bit different here. So I did use some blues to make him kind of look like he has some denim pants. Some browns for the treasure chest, which start out looking really light, but I build them up with E57 and E59 to darken that up a little bit. The inside of the chest, and the band around the front, I wanted to kind of look like silver or metal, and so I will be using some warm gray markers for that. Anything that is white, I stuck with warm gray 00 and warm gray 2 to keep it really, really light. My darker warm grays for the boot and the hat. I love that little skull and crossbones hat, so cute. I just love the pirate images. I think that makes for some really fun cards. Darken up his boot. I'll go ahead and color the inside of my chest like I was talking about. Again, the same two colors, warm gray 6 and 8. I tried to use them in as many places as possible so I wasn't switching out and adding a bunch more colors into this. Pull in that darker color, especially around the money. Go blend it back out with my lighter color. Now the pirate ship, I did the little windows here, or where the cannons come out, in the dark warm grays. The same colors I used for the treasure chest is what I'm going to use for the boat itself. So some kind of brown wood type colors. The little flag up at the very top is going to be my only touch of red. The poles are going to be dark gray. And then the sails, I wanted to kind of appear to be white. So again, my warm gray 00 and warm gray 2 to add a little bit of color there, but not a ton. I'll use those same colors for the treasure map. And then the parrot needs some color. Everything else is kind of along the same lines, including the little girl's dress I went ahead and did with those same warm grays. So in order to add a big pop of color, I'm going to do a little orange for the beak and a couple of greens or yellow greens for the bird itself. And then I'm going to tape the coordinating dies in place and die cut those. Start building the front scene for the front of the card first. I did the entire front of the card, and then I will move to the inside. So 4 borders, one on top of another, and then place this on the background itself. Nice strong adhesive. I don't want these going anywhere. Pop each of these images out. So I'm going to have my pirate ship. I've got the boy, the girl, the treasure chest. Those are going to be kind of on the forefront. I need to add in my palm trees. I think they'll really add to the beachy feel of the scene. I really secured that top border. I had to end up pulling it up a little bit so I could tuck my palm trees behind it. Luckily, I didn't tear my card, which I'm prone to doing when I do this. The scale of the trees and the boy and the girl and then the ship, I think really makes for creating a scene like this where it looks like the ship is off in the distance perfect. I think it kind of, the trees, the boy, the girl, the treasure chest, all very much look like they're in the forefront, where the pirate ship is drifting out there in the sea behind it. Go ahead and add everything else to the front of my card. And this is going to finish off building the front scene for the front of the card design. Finishing touches are all that are going to be needed now. So a little black pin for anything like eyes or other little details. A stardust glitter pin. I like to add little dots of that to things that look like sand. I think it helps with the sandy look, gives it some little sparkle. The Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen, again for the money, to give it that look of money or gold coins. And that is going to add all that detail. I'm going to put some adhesive on the front of my side fold card base and pop my panel in place. Now the card could be finished as is. You could stamp a simple greeting on the inside and it can be done. Or you could do what I did here, and I wanted to finish it off. So I've got another background panel with that same outside in stitched rectangle, Tumbled Ocean Distress ink. That's going to be the sky for when you open it up. I've got another panel here that I die cut using that same outside in stitched rectangle. I used one of the stitched hillside borders to make a sandy beach. And this is going to go on the inside bottom. This is where my greeting's going to go. You can handwrite your sentiment or anything there. And I'm stamping the "You Are Awesome" greeting from the Ahoy Matey stamp set. Plus the X marks the spot. That great big X is fantastic. And I think that looks fun stamped in the Lawn Fawn Lobster Red ink. So I'll add that kind of to the end of the greeting there. And this is going to go on that inside bottom portion like I mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere it. I'm going to go ahead and adhere it a little lower than what I normally would. And that's going to allow for my pop-up area. If you didn't want to do a pop-up, you definitely wouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to just drop it down because I don't want my greeting to be too close to the pop-up, and you'll see that in a minute. I'll take that stitched hillside pop-up, I've got 2 borders using the brand new Ocean Hillside pop-up add-ons, which I think complement several of the new Stampin' Die sets from this new Lawn Fawn release perfectly. I've die cut them from Bristol Smooth cardstock, ink them with Salty Ocean Distress ink, and then I'm going to adhere them over the panels. So if you've seen any of the past add-on panels for the Stitched Hillside pop-up, they work just like that, where they go right over the pop-up areas. Go ahead and put some nice strong adhesive on that and then pop that in place. I just need to fold down my pop-up areas now, and I actually use glossy accents on the little tabs. Once I get this all folded in place, I'm going to put some glue on those and fold my card in, and I let it sit for a little bit so that it would be really good and secure. I've got 2 additional palm trees that I'm going to adhere right along the front so it kind of looks like the beach, and then all these waves in the background. The more you can add to the inside to finish it off, the more fun it's going to look, I think. So here's kind of what it looks like when it pops open. So super cute. And it needs just a few more things. There's a great little north, east, west, south. So I'm going to stamp that with 2nd generation stamping in the top left corner of my background. I've went ahead and stamped and colored an additional treasure chest, some gold coins, another map, and another boat to kind of finish it all off. Gives it a really fun finished look. I'll go ahead and open it here in a little bit so you can see what it looks like when it pops up and opens. Thanks for joining me today for this Ahoy Matey card featuring the new Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.